Hello everyone, welcome to CENJOWS podcast, a platform where we bring together India's foremost scholars, strategists and security professionals to dissect the critical questions shaping our nation's future. I am your host for today, Anshika Gupta, Research Assistant at Center for Joint Warfare Studies, New Delhi. India's borders have always been more than lines on a map. They are living and dynamic frontiers that carry within them histories of conflict, community, identity, and sovereignty. Today, as the world witnesses a renewed hardening of borders and the re emergence of territorial anxieties, it is more important than ever to understand what borders truly mean for our security architecture. Joining us today is one of India's leading scholars in border studies, Dr. Shreesh Kumar Pathak, Stream Coordinator and Assistant Professor at Amity Institute of International Studies, Amity University, Noida, and an Honorary Senior Fellow at the Forum for Global Studies, New Delhi. Dr. Pathak holds his doctoral degree from the School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, and has over 3 decades of experience in research, teaching, and policy engagement on border studies, South Asian affairs, and India's foreign policy. He has published over 30 research papers and chapters, including a Scopus listed study on India's diverse borders and diverse threats. He has also been the convener of Vijay 2024, Amity University's flagship international conference on the theme Border Management in Contemporary Politics, Security and Beyond. Dr. Pathak, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Anshika. Nice to be here. It's a pleasure for me.
It's truly a pleasure to have you here, sir. The topics we are exploring today is borders in the 21st century and India's national resilience in one that sits at the very heart of contemporary security discourse. Let us dive right in. Coming to the first question for today, sir. Border security is most often discussed in strategic or military terms: fortification, fencing, surveillance technology, troop deployment. But border studies as an academic discipline sees borders through a fundamentally different lens. How would you define the roles of borders today? Not just as physical barriers, but in shaping state power, national identity, and the broader architecture of security.
Anshika, actually, I'm very thankful that you have raised this question. Generally, we think that borders and security, these things very much connected to only the people who belongs to security, national security and all. But when it comes to border studies, so border studies is a discipline actually. There's another name for it, limology, which is not very much popular in general popular parlance. But when it comes to discipline, a discipline must be having dedicated terminologies. Discipline must be having their own set of theories, and that is exactly true with border studies also. In border studies, we do not use interchangeably the word like border, boundaries, and frontiers. Though in common parlance people use it, there is no problem in it also. But when it comes to security studies, border studies, so there must be clear-cut difference. Like just for our audience, I think we should differentiate between the three. So frontier, boundary, and border. It's a spontaneous evolution of the statism. So initially, when we know that statism starts with the Peace of Westphalia, 1648. You know it. So gradual development starts from frontier, then boundary, and border. So frontier means when the two states they're not having that kind of very much rigid crystallized territory. Gradually they are acquiring. So the upward direction, the directory where that is moving, that is called frontier, means that is not very much crystallized. When the two states they are having their shared boundaries, and now two states are having the crystal cut boundaries. So that is not frontier but the boundaries. Boundaries means bind together. After some time, two states, the indulge states, they need to promote cross-border interactions. So in order to promote cross-border interactions, you have to talk, you have to interact with your next stakeholder. So there's a particular process from boundary to border, or we say normally we say it's international border. So first all the engaged stakeholders will be setting the definition of the border. They must be in consensus. That is not very easy process actually. So first they will set the definition of border. Then the second thing will be delimitation by the legal experts and cartographers on the paper, where they are having that kind of consensus. After getting that consensus, you have to materialize that consensus on the ground also. So that is called demarcation. So now both the parties, both the stakeholders, they are having the clear barbed wire or the pillar part and all. Now, because of the cross-border movement and cross-border interactions, you have to engage regular bureaucratic practices. When you get all the four things, then only you can say that a particular boundary will become border or international border. So for border studies, frontier is different, boundary is different, and border is different. Specifically, what we focus here, it's all about space. Like, first we know about the space, then we need to claim the space for the betterment of ourselves, then we want to sustain with that space, we want to safeguard our space, and how you can save your space with the application of borders actually. So it's not just physical realities or physical boundaries. Now we are living in that kind of world where so many kinds of boundaries are working. We will discuss in your next questions actually.
Okay. Very well explained, sir. Moving on to the next question. Your work engages deeply with the fascinating three-phase historical framework: bordering, debordering, and rebordering. If we track this arc, there was a period until roughly the 1970s of active bordering, then a phase of debordering through the 1990s when globalization and the dream of borderless world seemed imminent. And now we are witnessing a sharp rebordering across the globe again. What explains the shift, and why are borders becoming so central again to world politics in our times?
This is a very timely question, Anshika, because what is happening, sometimes we are having this kind of impression that today in digital world, we are after this post globalization era, and borders not making actually, borders are not playing very important role, and borders are becoming irrelevant, which is not correct actually. So you have rightly pointed out that initially from the Peace of Westphalia, we have this process that is called bordering. So earlier states were not having this kind of concept that because border means, as I have elaborated in the last
Yes.
answer also. So bordering means each and every state, they are strengthening their statism. So that was the era of bordering actually. We all know. The second process starts with globalization, technological revolution, especially after the Second World War, and that is the world we are in, where states are interacting. We know that no state can live in isolation, like and democracy has become a value. So in democracy, each state promises to their each of the citizen that whatever choices they would be taking for the development, state will provide as a felicitator. Fine. So when a state will be providing that kind of thing, so you need security, you need resources, but no nation can be self-sufficient in each kind of resources. So for the sake of security, for the sake of resources, you have to interact with the rest of the world. Uh, Keeping this in mind, and technological revolution, communication revolution, globalization is there. So that is the place, that is the time, that is the phase we are referring it as a debordering. When we are saying debordering, sometimes we are having this kind of understanding that borders not working, but they are very much working, because the states are interacting on this basis only. Because if you think about a state, that very identity is coming from that map actually. So somebody is saying US, somebody is saying India, without having the map of US and India, and how you can draw the map with the boundary, with the border.
Right.
That is being referred as debordering, but on the ground border is very much there. Now come to the after 1970s, as you have pointed out very much rightly. So now this is the phase of rebordering. Rebordering means now borders were not absent even in common parlance, they are very much evident, and we are having so many kinds of boundaries which are working in our common life also, like a smart boundary setup, and and there's one term, the very interesting term people are using nowadays, that is called banal boundary. Banal boundary means within the boundary things are working. Like for this center also, when we are entering in this center, so without having proper identity and proper checkup, we cannot enter at this space. That is called banal boundary, because that is very much required and needed for our security. So all kind of border is very much present there. And there's one myth, Anshika, I will just take few seconds more. Uh, Sometimes we think that this is the era of advancement in technology, but at the end of the day, you won't find that state is absent. Of course, we are having number of choices as a consumer, as a citizen. We can interact with any person of the world, but at any given point of time, the role of state, you won't find that is being diluted actually. This is my personal belief that this is the era of rebordering, and a state has strengthened itself with the application of bordering actually. What they have done, Anshika, it's kind of reverse pyramid. At the surface level, you will find that border is not working and people are very much interacting, but at the pointed ground level, border is very much present, and what is happening at the surface, okay, state is dictating.
Right.
So that is the era of rebordering. So if you think that state matters, boundary always will matter.
That's a very interesting point, sir. Moving on to the next question. In today's world, the threats emanating from borders have become extraordinarily multidimensional. We are no longer dealing only with conventional military threats, rather, we are contending with terrorism, narco trafficking networks, drone intrusions, cyber attacks, proxy wars, and large scale migration crises. How does border studies help us understand and respond to these complexities differently from the conventional security or strategic studies approaches?
Anshika, this question will serve the purpose why we are talking actually.
Yes.
Gone are the days, Anshika, when we think that security is the topic of only security officials and security personnel. We are having today, this is the hybrid warfare era actually. And what is happening, we are having conventional threat, but we are having non-conventional threat.
Exactly.
You know that there's difference between threat and challenge.
Yes.
For challenge, still you are having some information, but for threat, you are having pinch of information. Plus, you cannot wait that your enemy will be coming prepared and then you will be thinking about that threat, because you do not have that kind of information. So even if you do not have that kind of information, we cannot wait for preparedness. So what we do generally, what much information we are having, on the basis of that much information, we start our preparation and we build threat perceptions. So
Right.
fine, if enemy is not attacking in that way, very much fine. But even if in 1% chance enemy is attacking, so we should not be thinking that, oh, we do not have time. So that's why threat perception is very, very much important. Now come to the non-conventional part of it. So what is happening nowadays, that state, they are having conventional threats, preparedness is there, but threat is coming in different type of sector. Let me take one more analogy here. We know that security perspective. Earlier, we are having this tendency that we do everything in the prism of securitization. So even if it's a social issue or cultural issue, so we are having this kind of understanding that if we want to protect that space, we have to securitize that particular thing. So only that way we can protect that space. But now threats are coming in different sources. Like if health is not being maintained by a nation, again we will be paralyzed, we will be vulnerable. So health security is part of very much security perspective.
As highlighted in COVID also.
Yes. Then social security, economic security. So it's not just physical boundaries and physical and territory security. So, and when the scope of security is widened, then you have to invite all kind of stakeholders. Now the people, the citizens, civil society, they need to participate in security affairs in their varying capacity role.
Right.
And then only we will be having that kind of confidence, because this is the idea of comprehensive security. Now the question is what you have asked, the how these complexities will be answered
Yes.
with the active participation of civil society. I must admire some civil society organizations also. Now they are making a narrative, very positive narrative. Let me take name also, like Seema Jagar Manth is one organization.
Yes.
They are doing very much important task in that way, that they are inviting people from civil society, people from security arena, and they both are
Working
making
cohesion.
conversation.
Yes.
And then citizen is thinking, okay, security is not such a topic that it doesn't belong to me. you have to vigilant, you have to be aware about the terminologies, you have to be aware about what is happening around, then you can become hands, eyes and arms up to the security forces. So this narrative is very much important, and this is called civil military fusion actually. So the kind of technology we require, the kind of which kind of scale we require the technology, without having civilian intervention positively, it is not possible. So yes, we can give the answer to those complexities what you are referring, Anshika, with the active participation of the civil
Civilians.
society.
Right. Okay, sir. Moving forward, a dimension that is often missing from security discussions, like we were just discussing, is the human factor at the border. The communities who actually live on these frontiers.
Yes, yes.
Your work consistently highlights that borderland people are not merely passive residents caught between competing forces, they are active stakeholders in national security.
True.
As you highlighted in the last answer, could you elaborate on these vulnerabilities the populations face and the role they play in either strengthening or weakening border governance?
Ansika, generally we forget the people, the human part when we talk about security actually, though everything is for the humans. Borderline, there's the people who are residing in Delhi, the people who are residing in metropolitan cities, the people who are residing in mainland. But what's about the people who are actually residing on the very borderline? I always say this in a jokingly manner that being in Delhi, if you want to be a patriotic and you want to show that you are nationalist, it's very easy to be, because you have to just make a tricolor on your profile page and on 26th of Jan or 15th of August, okay fine, you are nationalist. But being on the borderline, facing all kind of vulnerabilities, which is constantly checking your ethos, national ethos, is still you are there fighting with your cause and unwavering support to nation building process. That is the resident of borderline person. So sometimes the people who are not there, generally they do not even understand the vulnerabilities of the people who are residing there on the borderline. The two things: one, we want to ensure our security. Yes, we are having trained people, there's a particular training thing and there's a particular procedure, but after that training you have to be deployed at different places. If you are not having local support that is so tactical in terms of information, then you think that we are okay with the security, but security is very much vulnerable. So earlier there was a traditional thinking that even the border infrastructure and all, we will be contributing and prioritizing those infrastructure which is first taken by the security forces as per their security understanding and security concerns. But now things are evolving because of complexities of security scenario. Now almost there is a full consensus, without inviting local elements we can't be so sure to answer these kind of challenges. So we are inviting local people, we are going there, we are understanding their concerns, and we are creating a middle path, the kind of mechanism we are evolving, so that we will be come up with that kind of ready solution which have active role of the security forces also and the local people also. They feel connect, they think that this infrastructure is not just for the security forces but for us also. Role and an image of security forces on the border area, that is very good, very great. But if with the intervention of right kind of intervention made by the government of India, like BADP program, like Vibrant Village program, I'm very happy that very recently government of India launched Vibrant Village program, the second edition, yes, and they are covering more number of villages. So that is connect to their economic life, that ensure economic security, social security. So security perspective is very much comprehensive. Then when you are inviting mainland borderline people, then you are coming in that position where you will have natural confidence. Yes, we can go for our national security, and our national security is in a better hand.
That highlights the belongingness of those communities as
well.
Yeah,
that sense of connect. Yes. Otherwise, nation building process is not just a rhetoric. For nation building process, you have to connect all kind of people. So the person who is residing in Delhi, Anchika, he or she must be connected to the person who is residing in the borderline. And the person who is residing on the borderline, he or she must be knowing what is happening in capital. That is a true nation, actually.
Actually, very well said, sir. Moving on to the next question. As we approach the close of our conversation today, a conversation that has ranged from the theoretical foundations of border studies to very concrete strategic challenges at India's frontiers, I would like to ask you one final question. What is the single most important shift in thinking or policy that you believe India needs to make in the coming decade to build a truly resilient and responsive border security architecture?
Two things. I think, Anshika, this is very relevant question. Two things. First, we have to introduce things at academic level as well as a school level. Like, I want that, I think things are being taken up also by the government of India. Like, from the class fifth at least, we must be in a position, like in every class we are having the class for ethics and all,
Right.
morality and moral science. So I think we should train our kids from that very moment, especially from the fifth class, that they need to know how our India, why India's security matters. This is, and the kind of NCC and all that is already happening, but they must be knowing about the complexities of our security and how they can contribute in future, and even as a kid also making themselves healthy and fit, ready for the becoming a human resource for our nation. Secondly, at academic level, at UG level, PG level and research level, I think Government of India must launch this kind of program where we can have a separate study for border studies, because the same security perspective, when you invoke border studies approach, that will become very realistic actually. There's so many variables, social, cultural, political, but they are always varying. But when it comes to border studies, border
Yes,
profile
that
is not that much changing. So if you are focusing more on non-changing factors,
right.
okay, then what kind of policy you are making, that will have more age and agility compared to focused on
Something
varying
that is
varying
evolving.
factors. Yes,
Yes.
yes. So I think two interventions are very much required.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It has been an extraordinary privilege to have this conversation with you today. Your scholarship brings together the theoretical rigor of border studies with the urgency of real world security challenges, and that combination is precisely what institutions like CENJOWS exist to facilitate and amplify. On behalf of the entire team at CENJOWS, thank you so much for your time, your insights, and your continued contribution to India's strategic discourse.
Thank you so much, Ansika. I must appreciate this initiative. Actually, it's a very valuable initiative, and you have conducted the show very aptly. Thank you so much. Thank you so
To
much.
our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the CENJOWS podcast. If today's conversation has sparked your thinking on India's border security, we encourage you to explore the research published by CENJOWS and to follow our podcast for such conversations. Thank you.